All right, so welcome everyone to day 4 of the Unblock Your Psychic Third Eye Challenge. How's everyone doing today? Just let me know how you're doing. How's your energy? Are y'all excited to be here? Tonight we're going to be talking about overcoming the greatest myth about activating your psychic third eye. All right. So Robert's saying good, excited, migraine all day, but so grateful to be here. Okay, and then Larissa says good. David says good. Okay, so everyone's doing, Elaine says amazing, excited. All right, so awesome. Well, what are we going to be covering tonight? Well, we're going to be covering just overcoming the myth of what it is to really be seeing through your psychic third eye. All right. And then after I do kind of a mini lecture here, I'm going to give you some tips, 3 tips or clues about what seeing through your third eye is really like. Okay. So like I said, I have this whole 8-week program where we really do a deep dive into that. But tonight, I actually wanted to give you something that you could actually do starting tonight, something that's practical and something that you probably already know how to do. Okay. And after I give you these tips, I'm going to be giving a mini clairvoyant reading to 3 lucky people. All right, so you definitely want to stick around for that. And what I want to invite you to, or how I want you to invite, or how I invite you to approach that, it's less about who gets the reading, right? And I know everyone wants a reading. It's more that you get an opportunity to practice the tips that not only have I been, that I'll give you tonight, but all the tips that I've been giving you in the last 4 days, okay? And just know that if you've been showing up every night, or even just if you showed up to like a few nights, right? A lot of you are getting some insights, ahas, right? And even if I haven't really necessarily given you the steps, right? The exact steps of what to do, a lot of this has been getting into your subconscious, right? And maybe perhaps during the day, you're like, oh yeah, that thing that Joe said, right? So things are processing in the background. So don't underestimate the power of that. And this is why I do this over 5 days, is so that you could take what you heard or learned from the previous lecture and give it some time to process in the background. That's when you know, like, things are really starting to ingrain, things are starting to wake up, and things are starting to loosen up and release, and you're letting things go in the process. All right. So does that make sense? Right? Does that make sense that I could have taught this in one night, you guys, right? Everything that I've taught so far, I could have taught it one night, ram all the information in there, but there's a lot of value to just letting it process overnight. Okay. All right. So I'm seeing some people are like, hope I'm the lucky one to get the reading. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's see. Whatever's meant to be, the way I approach it, right? If there's a divine timing to things in the universe, so whoever's meant to get it is just meant to get it. Okay. But before we get into that, and some of you are saying making sense. Okay. All right. Great. Kelly says, seriously, so very thankful, Joe. Oh yeah, you're welcome. All right. You're most welcome. All right. So why don't we start off with what we've been doing the last few nights, and that is by grounding. Okay. Just like what you learned on the first night. And like I mentioned on day 1, the very first thing that you want to do before doing any kind of energy work is you want to relax the body, right? Honor the body, relax, and ground. So I see some of you saying, my head hurts. Okay. It could be tonight's topic. All right. Hey, Eloise, good to see you. All right. So let's go ahead and do our opening meditation here. So I invite everyone to just sit upright if you can. Close your eyes. And go ahead and take a nice, deep, cleansing breath. And just notice your body. And if your day was anything like mine, my body took me through a lot today. Everything from preparing for tonight. I did a few coaching coaching sessions with some people. I did a reading, had to pick up my two nieces from school. And so just go and give an acknowledgement to your body for what it took for you to get here tonight. Like, what did you have to work through? What energy did you have to get through? Or what were some things that you had to go through to even be here? And part of honoring the body is just, what if you were to just say thank you? Hey, thank you, body. Thank you for all you do. And take another deep breath into the body, just breathing, providing oxygen, perhaps as like giving a gift. Like, hey, here's a gift of oxygen for you. And then you could also give the gift to your body of releasing, letting go, perhaps letting go of any tension, anything that has its attention on you, perhaps other people's energies, other people's thoughts, any energy not in present time, like we learned on day 2, or stuck energies, anything not in movement. And you could take another deep cleansing breath. And allow your body to relax into your chair, maybe just a little bit more. Sink into your chair a little bit more deeply. And as your body relaxes into your chair a little bit more, that relaxation, validating that the body's a little bit more relaxed even compared to 2 minutes ago. And if we had more time, I would encourage you to breathe like this for about 10, 20 minutes. But for now, so long as your body's relaxed even just a little bit, you could go ahead and start to form that grounding cord and play with a different color this time. You know, we've been playing with green. And when I say play, play like a little kid would. Like, I want to try purple now. Or red is my favorite color. I'm going to try a red grounding cord. And if you don't like it, then try another color. And use the technique. You could start with that ball of energy right at surrounding your hips and let it drop to the center of the planet, forming a tube of energy of the color of your choice. And you might even notice how you see the color. Do you just see a flash of it? Do you just see a silhouette of it? And notice it's not always the clearest picture, especially when you see with your eyes closed. It's not the same thing as when you see with your eyes open, obviously. And yet, even if you just get like a silhouette, like you're looking out of the corner of your eye, that's perfectly fine. And then once the body's nice and connected, imagine that all the stuff in your space that's not yours, not in present time, that's in your body, your aura, your chakras, your energy channels, maybe even in your organs, your brain, your mind. Imagine now that wherever you might feel some tension, a headache, something itches, right? Imagine that that's just energy that you can now let go of, release and let go. Imagine that those energies have some weight to them as well. And just let gravity take hold, kind of like a sink full of dirty water. And when you pull the drain, all that gray water just drains away. And as all that drains away, the sink starts to empty out. So too does your body. You might start to feel lighter, more clear. And you might notice too that this is a little bit easier than yesterday or the day before. The more you practice this. And just validating that you don't need to get it perfect. It's more about the practice rather than the perfection. And then breathe once again. Maybe breathe a little bit more deeply than the last time. And allow yourself to release even more, whatever it is that you're ready to let go of now. All right, everyone's looking good here. I'm seeing a lot of movement, which is awesome. Now, I want you all to imagine now that you could breathe or draw your breath and attention right into the center of your brow, just slightly above your brow, middle of your forehead there. And just bring your attention to a spot, maybe about a half inch to an inch above your brow, right in the center there, where you would normally see maybe a depiction or a picture of where the third eye is located. And imagine you could just breathe into there. Just draw as much of your attention right into that third eye space. Perhaps with your physical eyes, you could even look up at your brow. Not straining, don't strain, but more of a noticing. Just allow your attention to be there as if you could be aware from there. And breathe. There's a saying that where your attention goes, energy flows. Where your attention goes, energy flows. And so notice how when you bring your attention now, even with your eyes closed, to the center of your brow, notice that you might start to feel a tingling, some movement. You might even feel a little tension because you're releasing some energy out of there. Some people have reported, oh, it even feels like it's throbbing at first. And just keep on breathing, relaxing the body even more. This might be new to some of you, or at least new for your body to acknowledge this space. Awesome. And we're going to be playing with this space a little bit more later tonight. But for now, go ahead and now imagine that there's a nice big gold sun, about 3 feet up, 3 feet up above your head, 3 feet tall, 3 feet wide. And imagine that you could tune the gold sun to your energy by writing your name in the middle of the gold sun, like right in the middle, right in the center of it. Tuning the gold sun to the energy that's unique to you and only you in the whole entire universe. And when that gold sun's all nice and full, oh, sorry, I skipped a step. Imagine that the gold sun can call all your energy back from your day, from your week, from other people, places, projects, from this lifetime, past lives, just where let the gold sun do all the work for you. And all you need to do is just sit back, relax, letting the gold sun do all the work for you. You might sense the gold sun getting larger and larger as more and more of your energy comes back. You might even feel the energy radiating off the gold sun above you. And when that gold sun's all nice and full, then you could go ahead and fill yourself in. Allow that to pour into your body from the tips of your toes all the way back up to the top of your head and some down to your fingertips and everywhere in between. And as well, filling in your bubble or your aura, your energy field, having it fill in front of you, behind you, above and below, to the left of you, to the right of you, to where you're really surrounded by, as if you're a golden light bulb of your own energy. And you can imagine that being like a golden light bulb of your own energy, what it would be like to shine this light out to the rest of the universe. And when you're all nice and full, you could go ahead and open your eyes now. Come on out of the trance. All right. And welcome back. Okay. So I'd love to get some comments. How was that for you? And Larissa made a comment here. I'm sorry, as much as I know I need to be here, as much as everyone else, I just can't seem to tap in because I have something huge blocking my mind. And I lose hope every time I give it another shot and try, but don't succeed. So I'm sorry. It's okay, Larissa. Like I said, you're not expected to get this perfect the first time. This is only day 4, right? So for those of you that are like, oh, I don't get it, I don't get it, like stop being so hard on yourself. And this is what I mean by, like, if we had more time, right? I would encourage you to breathe for a little bit longer, like 10, 20 minutes. I've had students that like, don't do any energy work, not even for 30 minutes of breathing, and then attempt to do all this, right? But you guys, if you have any kind of tension in your body at all, this energy stuff won't work. It just won't. Okay. So don't force yourself. And most of all, stop being so hard on yourself, you guys. Okay. All right. So let me just read some comments. I'll start on Facebook. Justin, I saw 2 people during it. Okay. So some of you are getting some visions now. Michelle, that was nice. Thank you. Larissa says, thank you. You're most welcome, Larissa. Okay. And I totally get it, right? It can be frustrating if you don't get it the first time, but that's not what this is all about, right? It's all about the practice of it. Okay. That's why I have a whole 8-week program, just for the first part, right? And then there's even more training in, because it's not like you get these things overnight. Okay. Bridget, a lot easier tonight. See more colors tonight than last night. Awesome. Great. Elaine, that was easier for me than any other night. Okay, that's what I mean by the practice, you guys. Okay. All right, and let me look on Zoom here. Oh yeah, some of you are already day 4 done. Thank you for the reminder. Everyone type that in. Marcia said, very relaxed, excited, saw faces too. Okay, it's gold glitter. Okay. BJ says, I felt a throbbing in my forehead. Yeah, that's because you're drawing some attention to there. Sally, amazing, feels tingling all over. All right, major energy here tonight. Felt some pressure behind my third eye. Joseph says having a lot of distractions. That's okay. One time a teacher once said to me, like, when you're meditating, you could be like that calm in the middle of a storm, right? Be that calm in the middle of a hurricane. So sometimes, like, yeah, that's just life, right? Stuff is going to be happening around you, but what if you could be that calm in the middle of the storm? Okay. Let me see. Just trying to cut, all these comments are coming in here. Um, Vicky, when I meditated earlier, my head tingled. Kelly was feeling lots of purple electricity within my body and towards the sun. Awesome. Tingles on the top of my head, says Cindy. Amber, very beautiful experience. You take us on. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Okay. And Stephanie, I was flying as golden light, so beautiful. I'm hit or miss, so try not to let the negatives, try not to get the negative vibes get you, right? Okay, and I'm seeing a bunch of day for done, awesome. And then just back on Facebook one more time, David, definitely feel more aware of myself and my feelings. Okay, great job, you guys, right? And just so you know, it's not just about the third eye, even though that's what I emphasize, but paying attention to the rest of your senses, right? And in essence, when you're paying attention to like, oh, the colors, or when I saw that energy, I felt the tingling, right? Isn't that a reading? Right? Y'all are doing a reading on yourselves, aren't you? Even if it's like, I'm sensing all these distractions, you're still doing a reading. You're reading the energy of the distraction. Maybe you haven't thought of it that way, but that's a reading, isn't it? Okay. All right. So Ember says, I got upset releasing some energy not serving to me. Yeah. Part of when people are releasing, when you're actually releasing all that energy, you're now present to all that stuff you're holding on to. So if it was like an irritation energy, right? And then you're releasing and letting it go, and you're like, oh, you got irritated for that moment in time. In a way, it doesn't feel good, yes, but it's actually a good thing because you're actually releasing it now. You can let it go. Okay. All right. So y'all are doing great here. And thank you for sharing so openly, you guys. Okay. All right. Bridget, my toes start to draw during the grounding. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Yeah. The physical body will sometimes have its mind of its own and just react to the energy. Okay. Let's see. Anything else? Okay. Now, we'll get into the lecture here. But before we do, as usual, what I want to do is address yet another misconception. Okay. Especially what I see with like the students that I've taught throughout the years, or just what I see in the community at large with the energy worker field or energy warrior field, or just people who are, trying to get their gifts to work. Okay. So what is this conception that I want to address for today? Well, one of the most, I'm going to call it the most debilitating, okay? One of the most debilitating things, and some of you already touched on this today, just right now, is the need to understand your gifts. And of course, wait, my dog wants to get in. All right, for those of you who haven't met my dog Layla yet, say hi, Layla. And Layla, guess what we're talking about? We're talking about when people need to understand their gifts. And I'm saying, hey, that's one of the most debilitating things that awakening psychics go through. It's the need to understand it. And whenever I hear students, or even when I see the comments come in, right, I need to understand it more, or I need to know what's going on. How many of you can relate to that, right? You had like a weird psychic experience, some weird dream, or 333, or I thought of someone 5 minutes later, they texted, and you're sitting there like, what is going on? I need to understand this. I need to figure this out. right? Marcia's like, let's see, raise hands. This has been a struggle for me. I told you guys a story, I think it was in the pre-training, where um, like I had this woman, her father came through right out of nowhere, and like I saw this glow of light up above her head, and I'm like, oh my God, what the heck's going on? And to get this message from her father that like, oh, your father wants to tell you that he loves you, right? And the whole time I was getting that message, my body froze. It's almost like I wasn't in control. And then when I delivered the message, like a tear rolled down her face. And the whole time I'm like, what the heck just happened? Right. And I needed to know, I needed to figure out what was going on. Okay. It literally became this obsession for me. And I'm one of those people, and let me know if you could relate, that when I get into something, I really get into it. Right. So there I was researching, I was trying to figure out, and the whole time I was like, I really need to know. Okay. So a lot of you are like, yes, I almost obsess. Okay. So a lot of you can relate to this, right? So the thing to realize though, right, that you could ask yourself now is, how long have you been trying to understand your gifts? How long have you been trying to figure it out? Right? I know for a fact for many of you, even if it's just been a week or a month or since you were a child, right? Reflect on the fact now that no matter how long you try, this obsession with needing to know, has it really made you more psychic by now? Has it really helped you to tap into your gifts even better by now? Right? So, here's the thing, knowing this need to know, if it's something that doesn't work and if it makes you get upset because, like, oh, I haven't figured it out yet, right? Because that's what happened even just earlier. I forgot. Sorry, so like when I'm in the middle of the lecture, I forget the names. But yeah, this is part of what's disappointing, or what causes the disappointment is the need to know. Okay. And yet, the needing to know, or even intellectually knowing about it, it doesn't make you more psychic. Okay. Otherwise, you'd be more psychic. Like, we'd have millions and millions of psychics right now all around the world, right? Now, if this is you, okay, I could totally understand, right? And I think I shared this a few days ago. I have a master's degree in quality systems, right? It's an engineering type of degree. So talking about being that type of person, like about figuring things out, tinkering with things, right? How things work together and all of that, right? That was me. And we're taught in life that when you understand how things work, then the better you become, right? Y'all know that, right? We're taught that since we're in school, like when we're kids, like reading, writing, math, all these intellectual pursuits. And we tell ourselves, well, when I know something much better, when I figure it out, right? And that, because it worked before, now here, when I know more about the psychic stuff, when I try to figure out it, understand it better, then I'll be more psychic, right? Kelly, Kelly's like, knowing hasn't done, I'm not going to say the word out loud. Right. And William down here is saying, I get frustrated because I'm no closer to the truth. Okay. So just like on day one, where we covered, it's not about trying harder, right? On day two, we talked about where it's not about thinking about it more, right? Because thinking about it more doesn't get you closer. And then even yesterday, where we talked about the hypnosis of it all, of like, oh, I don't see anything, right? And the more that you say that to yourself, then you start programming yourself in. It becomes a self-hypnosis of, I don't see anything. Well, guess what? You could also program yourself and be under the hypnosis of, I need to understand it better. Or even more, I had one student, what was her name? Jackie. Hey, Jackie, if you're watching. I remember at the beginning, she was like, I need to know more what exactly my gifts are before I can move on. Right? It's like, I need to know what my gifts are before I move on. Well, when she found out she was more of a clairvoyant / clairaudient / empath, I think, yeah, that's what she was. When she knew that, right? When she knew like she was more clairvoyant, did it make her more psychic? Just knowing that? Right? So here's the thing I really want to impress upon you guys, right? The fact is, if needing to know were all it took, right? We'd be more psychic by now. But like many of you are saying, that's not the case, is it? Here's what I really want to cement with you guys. That whether you know it or not, right? Know how the psychic stuff works, in spite of knowing or not knowing, you're still getting these prophetic dreams. You're still getting the premonitions. You're still getting the 333, the ringing in the ears, all these downloads, whether you know how the psychic stuff works or not, right? So the question is, what's the point of trying so hard to understand all this stuff when you didn't need to understand anything in the first place? All right. Someone could pop into your mind and 5 minutes later they text you, whether you understood that or not. Okay. So in line with like trying too hard or thinking too hard, like this is yet another flavor of all that. And yet your gifts are there. Okay. So for those of you who are really frustrated, like, oh, it's not working. I know I should be here. I'm trying really hard, but it's not working. I'm just so disappointed in myself. Well, what if you could give yourself permission now to not have to know anything? And notice right after I said that, right? Give yourself permission to not have to know anything. Notice how there's a part of you that was like, but I need to know. I need to know. I still need to figure it out. What does he mean you don't need to know? Wait, how do you not know? How do you try to turn off your mind? How? Well, so Vicky is like, LOL, yes. It's like a baby needing to understand how to walk before they start to walk, right? Like, no, you don't need to know how to walk, right? Or understand how to walk before a baby learns how to walk. Like, babies don't understand any of that. All right, so Kelly said, let go of the control. Vicky said, I felt a little bit tiny relief, giving yourself permission. All right. Amy says, patience is a virtue. Been my own motto. Awesome. And Monique says, it's a constant process. Yes, it's true. Okay. Now, I want to share with you, like, to answer that question, how do you give yourself permission to release and let go of the knowing, like the obsession with the need to know, right? Well, guess who the best person to answer that is? Well, in my experience, one of my favorite quotes is a quote by Albert Einstein, right? And one of his quotes, and I'm going to copy and put in the comments here in a second. The quote goes, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. All right, so I'm going to paste it into Zoom here. I'm going to paste it into Facebook. Okay, and that's Albert Einstein. So everyone just kind of read that quote. Just let it sink in for a moment. I'll give you a few moments here to let that sink in. Okay, so what Albert Einstein is alluding to, right, just to kind of summarize here, the intuitive mind is the gift, right? The rational mind should be the servant. And what he's saying is that society is honoring the servant more than the gift. In other words, we give more energy to the rational mind than we do to the intuitive mind. And Einstein says intuitive mind, I'm going to substitute that with the psychic mind. Okay. So when Einstein was coming up with his theories, you could actually argue that maybe he really wasn't in his rational mind at all. Maybe that's what made him a genius. And perhaps some of his greatest findings came to him when he wasn't really thinking at all. Right? Maybe you could even argue that Albert Einstein he was a psychic himself. Okay. So if you're in Zoom, you have to scroll up, like the comments came in really fast already. I'm gonna go ahead and do it one more time. Oh, my bad. Okay, thanks you guys. Hold on. Okay, there you go. It should be there now if you're in Zoom. Can y'all see it now? Okay, so the intuitive mind, for Zoom, for the Zoom people, my apologies. Let me read it one more time. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Okay, so to paraphrase a little bit more about what Einstein is saying is that the more energy you put into your rational mind, right? So if more energy is in your rational mind and less energy is in your intuitive mind, right? What's going on is, like in society today, more people are in the rational mind. Most of their energy is here, less in the intuitive mind or the psychic mind. All right, so if you're sitting there, you're trying to know more, right? This is what I opened up with you guys. If you're trying to understand this more, and we already determined that understanding it more doesn't make you more psychic, but yet if more of your energy is in the rational mind trying to understand it more, and less of your energy is in the psychic intuitive mind, right? Consider that if more energy is here and less energy is here, then that's why your psychic gifts aren't working. So if having more of your energy in your rational mind and instead of in your intuitive mind is not it, what if I were to tell you that being psychic is not about thinking or trying at all? Okay. What if you had way less energy in your thinking mind and shifting all of your energy into your psychic intuitive space instead? Don't you think it'd be more possible to tap into your gifts more easily? And I use "don't you think," right? Would it be possible? Let me rephrase the wording. Wouldn't it be more possible? What if being psychic were like all you need to do was just sit there, be clear, be centered, and literally just be, right? Watching, observing. What if it was nothing more than that? And notice how your mental mind, right, wants to like hijack the whole thing. And they're like, well, but have you considered this? It really isn't that easy in my experience. Like in your in your mental rational mind's experience, right? Like that even counts because it's not the intuitive mind. And here's one thing I really want y'all to get, okay? Consider that the rational mind will never understand ever how this psychic stuff works. Why? Because it's the rational mind. It's literally the wrong tool for the job. Okay. So consider then that the intuitive mind or the psychic mind, all it does is it just observes. Okay. And it's funny because Vicky in Zoom said, that is my issue. I need to work. That's my issue. I need to work on. Mental mind hijacks it most of the time. And it's funny how we say to ourselves like, oh, I need to work on it. Right? The irony is that what we're saying here, what we've determined is like, well, how can we not work on it? And Vicky said, LOL. So here's, I want to give you another one of my famous analogies here, just to help you cement this even further. Imagine that you're at like a movie theater or a theater in general, right? Like you're sitting there in the audience, and before everything starts, there's like the empty stage or maybe a movie screen, right? If you're watching in the movies. And it could be a play or a musical or some action movie. It doesn't really matter what it is. And you're sitting in the audience, and literally when you're just sitting in the audience, all you do is just sit back, relax, and observe, listen, right? You could get a preview of the movie if you wanted, but is it really important to know every detail of the movie before you go? Like you might get the overall synopsis of the movie, but do you need to know every detail? Not at all, right? So you're just literally, you just sit there in your seat and you watch, you enjoy, you might laugh, you might cry, you react. And you're literally, you're not sitting there trying to make anything happen, right? You're just sitting in the audience and you're just sitting back observing. And you're not sitting there in the audience telling the actors what to do. Although sometimes you might get frustrated with a movie, right? But you're not sitting there trying to understand how acting works, right? Or how does the lighting work? Or like how does the movie projector work? You're not sitting there thinking about all that stuff, right? That sounds silly. And yet, when people are trying to observe through the third eye, it's almost like they're just overthinking, overanalyzing it. And that overanalyzing actually takes them right out of their intuitive mind, right? Gets into their rational and mental mind there. Right? So like, can you imagine, right? Sitting next to someone in a theater and they're sitting there and you're watching the movie, right? And they're like sitting there over analyzing and asking, like, nudging you, like, hey, I see the movie on the screen, but how does that projector work? And you're like, shut up. Just watch the dang movie, right? So anyway, I share this analogy with you because that's exactly what you need to do. Just kind of stop with the questions, the over analyzing, the how does it work, right? And what if all it took was just for you to sit back, relax, observe? Okay. How many of you have ever been people watching in a park, right? You sit on a park bench and literally you're just sitting there watching and you're observing. And you might see like the expression on someone's face as you're people watching, and you're like, oh, that person looked like they're having a bad day. Another person walks by, oh, look how fast that person's walking. They look like they're in a rush to get somewhere. All right. Literally, you're just observing and seeing the action unfold right before your very eyes. Okay. And you notice that there's no effort to it when you're sitting on that park bench. Literally, you're just like sitting back, observing, watching, right? Are you trying really hard to people watch when you're people watching? Of course not, right? There's literally no effort. So the question now becomes, what if observing with your psychic third eye is exactly the same experience as that, where you don't need to know anything? Okay. What if all you had to do was just observe? Now, when it comes to observing with your eyes open, you've had a lot of practice with that, right? But when it comes to observing with your psychic third eye, maybe at this point, you don't know exactly what to observe for yet. Right? Remember yesterday I said for you guys to, or I encourage you all to use the word yet. Maybe you don't know what to observe for yet. And yet, the invitation for you now is to really just allow yourself to sit back, relax, observe, be watchful, be open. Okay. Just like sitting in a movie theater, watching a movie you've never watched before. You just let it all unfold. Okay. Now, for some of you, like you're starting to relax into this a little bit more, and you might have even observed when you were grounding, relaxing the body. Guess what? All these images, many of you are like, I saw people, I saw colors, I saw the gold sun. It was because your body was more relaxed, right? You were just sitting back observing. Now, you might begin to notice that, okay, you're getting the ahas, but then when you get the ahas in, your mental mind wants to sneak in a little bit, right? The mental mind's like, but there has to be some science to this. It has to be more complicated than just sitting back and observing. Like, what is it? He's hiding something. He's not telling us something. Actually, no, it's nothing more than that. Amber's like, it can't be that easy, LOL. All right. So question becomes then, if it's not about effort, if it's not about trying hard, if it's not about thinking more, if it's not about judging yourself, right? Trying to get frustrated with yourself, if you already know it's not all these things, if you already know that all these things don't work, right? Then what choice do you have now? And notice the mental mind trying to grapple with that. The mental mind doesn't like when you say, well, it's not that, it's not that, it's not this, it's not that. The mental mind wants to figure something out. So let me put your mental mind at ease now. And I'm going to give you 3 tips, 3 clues as to what it would be really, what it's really like seeing through the psychic third eye. Okay. So everyone take a nice deep breath. Relax the body a little bit more. So I want to share with you now a few tips or clues as to what it's like looking through your third eye. And then I'm going to do the demo here afterwards. So we're going to go for maybe another 30, 35 minutes, you guys. Okay. And, you know, these are just tips, right? It's like tip of the iceberg stuff I'm going to teach you here in just a second. And remember, you're going to learn more when you sign up for the third eye momentum program that I'm going to be announcing more about tomorrow. Okay. You'll have like a whole 8 weeks to really ingrain this and practice this. However, I want to just go ahead and give you these 3 things that you could observe for now or what it's like to look through your psychic third eye. And as I give you these tips, reflect on your own experience, your own life experience, where maybe you've already been doing this and you didn't know you're actually doing it. Okay. All right. So tip number 1 is the place in your mind's eye. I'll just say your mind's eye, where you might imagine your old car, right? Maybe you had an old Toyota Tercel from 5-10 years ago. Right? It was a red Toyota Tercel. That was actually my car from way back in the day when I was in the Navy. Right? So that place where you might imagine your car from a long time ago, or maybe the color of your blanket on your bed. Right? Guess what? The place where you're imagining all that right now, or you're remembering that, that's the exact place where you will receive your clairvoyant visions. It's the exact same place. Okay. So this is why it's so confusing for many of you. It's like, am I just imagining that? Well, the reason why you're asking that question is because it's actually in the same exact place. When you get a clairvoyant vision with your psychic third eye, the place where you see that vision in your mind's eye is the exact same place. Now, you might wonder, how do I know that I'm not just imagining it, right? Versus this being a real, true clairvoyant vision, which, by the way, clairvoyance, when you break down that word, clairvoyance means clear, voyance is seeing, clear seeing, right? That's the breakdown of the word. So when you're actually getting a clairvoyant vision, the difference between you imagining it versus it being a real vision is that you're not sitting there actively trying to make it up, right? If you've ever been through like a brainstorming session, right, at work or something, like, oh, let's picture all these possibilities, right? You're actively trying to imagine things in that activity. Whereas when you're just sitting back, observing, oh, the 333 came to me, or all that green light came to me, you weren't actively making it up. Okay, so that's one thing. I know that's it takes practice to distinguish that, but that's the distinguishing point. Okay, so that's tip number one. The place where you are imagining things, that's the exact same place where you have your clairvoyant visions. Now, tip number two is to realize that energy doesn't always have a color. Okay. However, when you're reading with your psychic third eye, right, when you're reading something, the way that the energy will appear in your mind's eye will be represented as maybe a color, a symbol, image, shapes, right? So for those of you like you've already saw like, oh, I forgot who said it, like, oh, I see white. Oh, Betsy's like, mine was white, right? Kelly's like, I just imagine palm trees in a bad dark storm. Okay, right? So you're seeing these things, right? And you can't necessarily see, feel, or touch it, right? But how it shows up, usually what I have my students look for is at the very least look for a color. And the color, colors are frequencies, right? Red is a frequency, orange is a frequency. And often what you'll get is that you'll see these energies represented as a color, okay? And if not a color, you'll see a symbol or some image, or you might see a purple elephant, like who knows, right? Just be open. You might even see shapes, okay? So that's tip number two, right? Energy doesn't always have a color, but when you see it in your mind's eye, it usually is represented as some kind of symbol or a color in your mind's eye. So those are things that you'll be looking for or observing for. You're not looking for them, you're observing for them, okay? There's a nuance to that. Now, tip number three is to realize that you won't always get a crystal clear picture all the time. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Tip number three is you won't always get a crystal clear picture all the time. I want to say that 80 to 90% of the time, you probably won't get the clearest picture at all. So instead, what you might see is you might see a silhouette of something, right? And I forgot who exactly mentioned it earlier, like they saw like a spirit, but they only saw the outline of the spirit there. And sometimes the vision will be like how you'd see things out of the corner of your eye. Okay, so like for me, out of the corner of my eye, my door is right there. Okay, and I could barely make out that there's a doorknob there. Even though I don't look at it clear, like straight on, right? I could still tell it's a doorknob, even though I'm not looking at it directly straight on. Okay. So seeing with their third eye is like that, right? When their eyes open, you're expecting to, like how you're seeing me on the screen, like crystal clear, right? But when you're looking through your third eye, all you might get is like a silhouette, an outline, and it'll be like you're looking at out of the corner of your eye with your peripheral vision. Except when you're looking with your clairvoyant third eye, you're not just looking off to the side, right? It's like, do this, you guys. Go ahead and purposely look at the video in front of you right now, and go ahead and purposely unfocus your vision. Okay, so I'm looking at my bullet points and like purposely unfocusing my vision on my bullet points. All right, I could make out some letters, not the clearest, but I'm like, okay, yeah, there's some letters there. Right, and just like with, if you're looking at my face, it's like, well, when I unfocus on his face a little bit, like let your vision get blurry on purpose, you could still see my mouth moving, right? You could still see me maybe move side to side or back and forth a little bit. You could see the window a little bit. Okay, and now go ahead and allow yourself to purposely focus again. So looking with your psychic third eye is just like that. It's not going to be the clearest picture. Okay, so for those of you like, I'm so frustrated, I don't see anything. Well, your expectations were a bit flawed, weren't they? Okay, like I said, 80 to 90% of the time, it's going to be like you're looking out of the corner of your eye with a blurred vision. And sometimes all you're going to get is like a quick flash. It might even be like a split-second flash of something really blurry. Okay, but you still have to observe. Is all this making sense so far? How many of you have had experiences like this? Go ahead and just share, right? And I see raised hands, right? It could even be something as simple as like, where did I park my car? And then you get a flash of like your car parked next to a tree, right? Super quick. It wasn't the clearest picture, but you saw that the tree was really tall, and it's like, oh yeah, that tall tree. That's what your clairvoyant vision is like. Okay. Marcia's saying, makes a lot of sense. Guess I seen and do see more than I thought. Let that sink in. Okay. Larissa said yes, and I have had many. Okay, Matt, yes. Michelle, yes. Amy, feel better about being frustrated about not seeing clearly. Elaine says, makes sense. Okay, Marie-Fran says, I get feelings, not sights. Well, Marie-Fran, consider that you still get a little tiny flash, right? And when people say, I didn't see anything, right? But then when I follow up, I say, well, what did you see? Well, I saw a little bit of pink in the corner there. So you did see something. Oh, I love this. Delphine is like, I got a flash of you as a monk in a past life. Put it this way, Delphine. It's not the first time I've been told that. Okay, so great reading. Thank you. Love it. Natasha, like trying to remember where you put your keys and suddenly you see it in your mind. Yes, it's exactly like that. Okay. And you notice that where you're imagining that, like I said, where you're imagining that, that's exactly where you're getting these clairvoyant visions. Okay. It's in the same place. That's why it gets kind of muddled. It gets confusing. Like, am I making that up? Right. And when you are doing a reading, just pay attention to those things that you're not paying attention, or that you're not actively making up. Okay. All right. Lynn, spot on. Love your descriptions. It's exactly how I experience visions. Okay. And Mari Fran says, okay, great. Great. Just be open, Mari Fran. Okay. All right. So let me see. Okay. So putting it all together, you guys, right? Tip number one, Let me scroll back up. Tip number one is where you're imagining it, where you imagine things in your mind eye compared to when you are getting a clairvoyant vision. That mind's eye, that proverbial mind's eye, that's exactly the same place, okay? And then when you do get a vision, just realize it's not always going to be clear, okay? It's going to be like looking out of the corner of your eye with your eyes, with your vision blurry, and that's all you get, right? And just like looking at, my video here, looking at me with your blurred vision, like you could still see the outline of me, right? You could still probably see like the color of the dark window behind me, right? But that's all you get sometimes. And sometimes you only get like a split-second flash, and that's it. So that was tip number two. And then tip number three is sometimes you won't get a clear picture at all. It's just like you just get split-second flash, and it's not the most super vivid picture, okay? And then tying that into like just being like someone sitting in the middle of a movie theater, right? Just sitting there watching, observing. If something shows up, it does. If something doesn't show up, then it doesn't, right? You're not sitting there trying to make it happen, okay? Now, here's a bonus tip for you guys, and then I'm going to get into my reading space here in just a moment, okay? When I read, I'm literally treating it like an empty stage or an empty screen, like a movie theater screen, okay? I'm not trying to make a picture show up. It's more that I'm just allowing for whatever to show up. And then whatever does show up, it's kind of like being a reporter, like when a reporter is reporting on the scene, or, there's a speeding vehicle that just drove right by and it's about to crash, right? Like the reporter is not trying to make that thing happen, right? Or it's like the reporter is just reporting what he or she sees, okay? So if you're fixated, if it feels like you're fixated while you're trying to look through your third eye, then that means that's a good sign that you're trying too hard, okay? So just sit back, relax. All right, and so when I do this reading demo, I'm gonna encourage you to close your eyes, okay? We're gonna tune into the energy of someone's question, okay? And then just see what shows up. And like I said, it might be a color, it might be a symbol, it might be, some spirit guide might show up, who knows, okay? Just be open and just be like a neutral observer, right? You're not judging, you're not trying to make anything happen, okay? All right, so we're gonna jump right into the demo. Let me tell you how this will work. I'm gonna read about three different people. I'm gonna read three different people, and I wanna do a variety of questions, okay? So we'll look at three different topics. I'm literally just gonna go at random, right? Whoever catches my eye. It's not like who posted first or whatnot, right? It's more about, okay, this question, this person's energy catches my eye. Let's read that. Okay, that's how it'll work. So don't think I'm skipping over you or anything like that. It's more like, hey, this question is calling to me. Let's look at that. And then what I encourage you to do while I am reading, you could read along with me. Okay, so I'll describe the color, I'll describe what I see. And then what you can do for yourself in your side is you could look at what I'm looking at. So if I say I see a lime green, then go ahead and see how the lime green appears in your mind's eye. Does that make sense? And then I'm gonna give, how they say a picture paints 1,000 words. I'm gonna give my interpretation or what message wants to come through. And like I said, colors are frequencies. And think of frequencies as like radio stations, right? So red is a radio station. Orange is a different radio station. Green might be another radio station, right? I treat them like frequencies. And, with that analogy of a radio station, when you tune to a radio station, you still never know what song is going to play, right? But you tune in. That's the first part. You still got to tune in, and then you wait for the message to come through. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So for you, right? At the very least, if you can at least get a color, whether you get it on your own or you go with the color I'm getting, right? And then if you're able to, just part two, just sit back, relax, and see if some kind of message or meaning comes through. Okay. All right. So that's what we're gonna do here. All right. So I invite you now, go ahead and type in a specific question. Don't just type in, oh, please read me. Like I said, I want to tune into a variety of different topics here. So it could be something like, the main five, right? Career, love, relationship, health, spiritual path. Like those are the big five that people always ask about for a reading. So yeah, who would like a reading? Okay, so Vicky, yours caught my eye first here. And then I'll switch back between Zoom and Facebook, okay? So, oops, I lost the question. Okay, so we're gonna read Vicky. Okay, so now normally if someone was, if I were reading someone, right, I'd, build some rapport and all that and ask, hey, what would you like for me to look at? All that stuff, right? But we're just gonna get right straight to the point. We're gonna tune into Vicky, and her name is spelled Vicke, right? And people's names have an energy. Even if people have the same name, it's still a representative energy, right? So what I'm going to do is we'll tune into Vicky's energy here. And her question is, what does my aura look like? Is it blocked and does it need cleansed? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my eyes, tune into her energy, and then I'm going to tune into the energy of her question. What does my aura look like, right? So I'm going to do what I just described to you. Sit back, relax, and just see what color shows up for her aura. And I'm going to be observing for those things. Like, it's not like I'm trying to make it up, right? If yellow shows up, then yellow shows up. Okay. And then I'm going to give my interpretation, right? So that's the steps here. All right. So I invite everyone to close your eyes now and go ahead and ground, just re-ground yourself. And we're going to practice. Remember, this is just practice. We're not expecting to get this perfect. And let me just say too, like if I get green and you get blue, it's not about being the same. Okay. I'm literally looking at it from a different point of view than you are. So just because I have a point of view, your point of view is just as valid, right? So go with whatever you get, okay? And give yourself permission to not get it perfect, right? You don't have to be right or wrong. Like, who cares about all that? That's not what the point is. The point is we're being in the practice of sitting back and observing, okay? All right, so now let me get out of my teacher space. Give me a moment. I'm gonna get in my reader space here. And 1 second, my dog wants to get out, of course. Okay. One moment, let me get in my psychic space real quick. What I'm doing right now, you guys, I'm literally doing what I taught you. I'm grounding, I'm releasing, clearing, letting go. Filling in with a gold sun. And a few more things that you'll learn later just to help set up my psychic space. Like I said, it's like turning on and off a light switch here. Okay. So I'm going to tune into Vicky's energy. And if I go fast, it's just because I've been doing this for a while. All right, so when I tune into your energy, Vicky, I see like a green energy to start. And it's a nice bright green. I get that it represents some kind of excitement, perhaps because you're being read right now. But I'm also getting that it represents some kind of blooming, opening. Um, and I'm getting that like part of your healing process is really ingraining what it means to release, let go, and what it really means to be your true, authentic, honest self. And not just for you, but also how you show yourself to the world, how you want to show yourself to the world. And it looks like you're already like in the space of imagining, like, oh, how my world would be. Um, and so it looks like you've already been through a lot of growth in your life that I'm seeing with this green. This is not like a new healing for you per se, like you've definitely been on a journey. Okay. So what I did right there, you guys, was I just tuned into Vicky's energy and I was looking at the green the whole time and just seeing what message was coming through, okay, to start. So I like to, that's how I tune into people's energies. And so just go to make mental note of what you got, right? You're sitting back observing, okay, and watch for where you might be trying hard. And remember, just like I only saw a flash of the green and that was it. Okay, and that's all I had to go with. Now, what's the specific question? What does my aura look like? Is it blocked? Need cleansed? Okay, so and you guys feel free to type what you get as well, and don't worry about it being right or wrong. Just type away. Okay. So the question is, what does my aura look like? So now I'm going to tune into your aura and see what I see. So Vicky, I see like the outer edge of your aura, there's a little bit of like this whitish energy. And then on the inside, it's more like a deeper blue slash indigo, but more on the blue side of things. And interesting, the blue looks nice and deep. This blue indigo looks nice and deep. And yet there's a little bit of like, what, how should I say? It's like when a kid is hiding behind their mom, right? There's like a little bit of hiding energy, and not so much hiding, but more like, hey, when I show myself to the world, at least at this point, this is like showing my best side. So that's what I get with the blue. And then the whitish tinge on the outer edge of your aura, I'm getting a little bit of a protective, angelic kind of energy. So I don't know if you work with angels already, but even just giving a hello to that energy. I wouldn't be surprised if you work with angels, you ask them for protection, but it looks like you do have some agreement with the angelic realm to help you, to guide you. And let me see if there's a message coming from the angelic realm specifically for you. See what's coming through. I'm getting something around how like you have a really deep inner need to help, like you just want to help. And so it's almost like you've been in contact with the angels to guide you, find your path and help you awaken and open up even more to your gifts and that which you have to offer to the world and for it to be something that could be really fulfilling for you. Okay. Anyway, Vicky, thank you for your question. And that's my read for you. Okay. Um, oh, part of your question was it blocked, need cleansing? Okay, let me just do a quick hello on that. I wouldn't say blocked per se, but I want, put it this way, the darker blue indigo energy looks like more of a energy that you could release and let go of, right? Not to say that, just show yourself to the world, right? But it does definitely look like it represents part of your path of growth, right? That just being more and more your authentic self. So it's less about your aura being blocked. It's more about, decisions that you make. It symbolizes decisions that you're going to be making about how you show yourself and represent yourself to the world. Okay. All right. So I invite you now go ahead and type in what you got, and don't worry about being right or wrong, right? Even if you just got a color or a flash, or you might not even have seen a color. Maybe you saw a symbol, or maybe you heard a word, okay? Or you felt something, right? Go ahead and type that in now, and I'll give you a moment. Okay, David says flash of white. Awesome. And let me scroll down. A lot of comments came in while I was reading. Carmen says, I'm getting a white flower with a yellow center and green like a lily pad. Awesome. Okay, Melissa, I'm getting you sitting in a chair with your eyes closed with an orange aura. You have a male spirit over the left of you. Okay, great. And again, you guys, you're just going with the first thing you get, right? The beauty of this, what we're doing now is we don't know Vicky. I don't know Vicky, right? So this gives you an opportunity to just really be in the moment. Like, okay, this is just what I'm getting, okay? All right, Sally, I got bright pink with black specks. Also saw a really big bird taking flight off a cliff. Okay, awesome. Okay, Kristen said nothing on my end. So Kristen, it's one thing to say nothing, right? But what did you see? What did you experience? Okay, and consider too that when people say nothing, right? That's actually an opportunity for you to just relax even more deeply. Okay, and like I mentioned earlier, I recommend people like breathe, right? Even before you get into reading, like for me, I'm breathing for like 10 minutes straight before I even get on Zoom, right? For my clients. Like it takes time, okay? All right. So VJ at least got green. Awesome. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to read everyone's comments, but I'm just seeing like a lot of great stuff here. Kristen, blackness, but I'm a stress case. Okay. All right. So Kristen, allow things like when we get to the second reading, right? At least you saw black, right? Give yourself credit like you saw that. Okay. All right. And if you're a stress case, yeah, go ahead and breathe some more. All right. Vicky says, thank you. I'm floored. The green. Yes, I was excited. Yes, I'm on a path of growth. I'm trying to progress since my 26-year-old daughter was murdered 2 years ago. Sorry to hear that. My daughter loved roses. I use angel oracles. I have called in angels when doing reads. Okay, so yes, I'm not showing the world my authentic self. Thank you for mentioning the presence of male figure. All right. Okay, so that's the reading, you guys. Okay, and again, it's not about like getting it right or like, oh, Joe's this or Joe's that. I can never be like that, because I know some people get intimidated a little bit, but that's not it. Okay, the practice, sit back, observe, breathe, just like you're sitting in a park, people watching. Okay, and remember to allow your gaze, right, to like allow it to be blurry, right? It's like looking out of the corner of your eye. Okay, don't try so hard, don't strain so hard. All right, and then on Facebook, a lot of great comments coming in. It's a lot of colors, angels, splash of white. Okay, awesome. All right, so do me a favor, let me know that you're still here, okay? And I encourage you to just copy paste your question, please. Let me know that you're still here. Just copy paste your question. And again, I'm going to just go with whatever comes to me first. And this time I'm going to go on Facebook. So on Facebook, do me a favor, just copy paste your question. And I know there's like a bit of a delay here. And while I'm waiting on the Facebook side, because there's a slight delay, I'm going to answer one question that I get often. It's as a teacher, and that is when people ask, am I psychic? Am I really gifted? Put it this way, you wouldn't be here unless you were gifted. Just accept that. people who are not gifted do not show up to broadcasts like this. They just don't. Okay. So if you have any kind of inkling, curiosity, wonder, right? The answer is yes, you're gifted. So just go with it, right? Stop denying it, stop overthinking it, stop overanalyzing it, right? Instead, just breathe and allow. Okay. So that's my answer to those questions here. All right. Let's see. Okay, here's a great one. Amy Allen. We're going to read Amy Allen here. What does my spiritual career path look like? Okay. So, same thing. I'm going to tune into Amy's energy just to start, and then I'll tune into the energy of her question. That's how it will go. Okay. So, everyone, just reground yourself, close your eyes, and between readings, you always want to reset. You don't want one reading bleeding into the other, right? You want to keep it all clean. Okay. So you could imagine just letting go of your old grounding cord, like dropping a rope from a roof, right? And then give yourself a new one and then fill in with a new gold sun. I'm going to do the same here. Okay. So we're going to read Amy Allen here in just a moment. Okay. So 1 second, I'm resetting, and I encourage you all to just relax even more deeply. Amy Allen. So I'm going to tune into your energy, Amy. So let's all tune into Amy Allen's energy. And her name is spelled Aimee for those of you on Zoom, Amy Allen. And everyone's name has an energy. That's why I spelled it out for you. Not necessarily, it wasn't necessarily about the spelling, it's more about the energy of it. And so, Amy, I am getting like a few colors for you, like a little bit of purple, a little bit of white, and then I saw this flash of red. And the purple and the white, kind of looks like those paintings, where they blend the white and then it goes from white to purple. And then there's like that gradual transition from white to purple. That's kind of the picture I see. Except the shape of it is almost like the shape of like a quarter slice of pie, right? If you have like a whole slice of pie, it's like only a quarter shape of the pie or a quarter of the pie. And then from the corner, from the middle part, right, it starts off white and then it gets more and more purple, deep purple. And then surrounding it, I kind of see like a night sky in a way, like the backdrop of it all is like the night sky. I even see like stars off in the distance. And then the little flash of red, interesting. I tuned into the red, and for some reason, I just heard the word beginner for some reason, and not like being a beginner, but something like a beginner's mind. Like when a beginner's learning something, like they don't have all the what they used to know or draw upon any experience, right? A true beginner's mind is like a child. And so I'm getting that the red represents this flash of red is like helping you to remember, like, be like a child, like have that beginner's mind about it all. Now, with the white and the purple and the backdrop of the night sky, and your question is, what does my spiritual career path look like? Okay, so let's tune into her question. What does my spiritual career path look like? So when I look at this picture, Amy, It's less about this piece of pie thing. It's more what's really catching my eye is more like the backdrop of it all, this night sky. And I'm getting that it represents um like the eternal light, right? Eternity, the expansiveness of it all, the possibilities, source, and then literally like the pie represents, and it's interesting that it was a quarter slice of the pie. um like all the stuff that is only just a quarter piece, like a small piece of it. But when you could really tap into like the universe, all that is, the great expanse, in relation to your question of like, what is your spiritual path? I'm getting for you, getting beyond what you know to be true, questioning all that, what you thought to be true. And that I'm also getting something like remembering where you came from. Like when I'm looking at this night sky, there's like this, remember who you are, remember where you came from. And it reminds me of like what some traditions talk about, like we are of the stars. We're not, we are like, yeah, that saying, we are of the stars, we're of the universe, um and yours is more a spiritual career. So let's look at the career side of it all. Now I saw the spiritual piece of it all. The career piece of it all. I see this picture of you. It's almost like you're putting your fingertips on the top of someone's head. Not like you're necessarily touching the top of their head, but there's something like you're helping people get in touch with their higher knowing. And it's not unlike the picture that I'm seeing with you tapping into the cosmos or the universe yourself. It's like you're helping people tap into that which is a higher part of themselves, stuff like that. And I'm seeing the people that you're helping, they're literally saying, thank you for helping me get in touch with that part of myself that I thought I had lost or forgot about. And really just helping people get in touch, retuned into their spiritual purpose. All right. Well, that's my read for you, Amy. Okay. So anyway, I got pretty deep into that. Almost forgot you guys were watching me. So Amy, or when I was reading Amy, again, I just tuned into her energy. So I saw the pie. It didn't make any sense to me at first, right? But then I just kept describing the picture. I saw the backdrop of the sky, the night sky, reminded me of the heavens. And then I went back to the slice of pie where that symbolized, like it was just a small piece of it. And then that tied into like the spirituality piece of it that I got for her. And then I tied that into like the career, like how her awakening tied into like helping other people awaken, right? So again, it's not like I was trying to make that up. I was literally just going with, okay, that's what's coming to me now. That's what's coming to me now. That's what's coming to me now, like a reporter, right? So I just like doing a play-by-play of what's unfolding in my mind's eye. And again, it's not like I saw the clearest picture as like a silhouette. This time around, that picture actually stayed for me. It wasn't just a flash, but it wasn't like super clear either. Okay. All right. So okay, so I'm just looking at everyone's reading here. Nat, I'll see you later. Okay, thanks for being here. Hey, you guys are doing great. Okay. And again, I'm reading these messages here, and you ask yourself, it's not like you're trying to make this up, right? Like it just came to you. That's the state to be in. Okay. Allowing, relaxing, letting them show up. So Great job, you guys, on Zoom. And let me go to Facebook real quick. Comments are coming in real quick here. Okay, Matt said, honestly, I saw a jellyfish atop a rocket ship, starseed tuner. Okay, great. And I kind of got that vibration too, a little bit of that kind of starseed stuff when I was looking at the night sky. So yeah, just go with it. Okay, just go with it. So Amy gave some feedback here. Thank you so much. It fills my heart to know this. I started to do some kind of healing before I learned Reiki and love it. I also love healing others 100%. And you just confirmed I'm headed in the right direction. All right. Well, I'm glad we could provide that for you, Amy. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about, you guys. Like, I know a lot of you have a higher calling, right? To help people. Okay. And I've never met Amy. I've never met Vicky before, but look at what could happen in the span of 5 minutes. Okay, giving people that validation. That's what this is all about. Like, how cool is that, you guys? Okay, where you could actually help people like that. All right, so I'm running over time. I will do one more reading. I saw some people like, oh, I have to go, I have to go. So let me just remind everyone real quick. Okay, we're going to meet same time, same place tomorrow. And remember to do all your hashtags. And tomorrow I'm actually going to be talking about, finally, right, the Third Eye Momentum Program. Okay, it's where you can build some momentum to building your third eye over the next 8 weeks so that you can start using your gifts to help others, right? Provide them with healing, provide them with insights. Okay, give them direction that they're seeking, validation, just like what Amy and Vicky got. Okay, you can do this. All right, so if any of that interests you at all, then I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Okay, so for those of you that have to go, thanks for being here. And I will do one more reading just because I said I would. And remember, everyone, day 4 done. And then I'll see you guys tomorrow that have to go. Okay, so for those of you sticking around, do me a favor, let me know that you are still here. Just copy paste your question, right? Because like I said, I know some people have to leave, so I don't want to read someone that has to go. And I'm literally just going to go with who catches my eye either on Zoom or Facebook. So while we're waiting for the questions to come in, for those who are saying, oh, thank you, yeah, you're most welcome, you guys. It's awesome having you here. All right, so I'm glad to have you here. Okay, let's see. Ooh, I like this one. I've never had a question like this. This catches my eye. Justin Gagne, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Let's read Justin. He has a really interesting question. His question is, what information do I need to remember from Atlantis? Okay. For those of you that are not familiar, part of the theory goes of Atlantis, right? You've all probably heard of like the city, right? The missing city of Atlantis. And part of the theory of it all, right? Part of what people believe is that visitors from other dimensional realities, from another dimensional realities, came to the planet to help it bloom, help it awaken, right? And some people have had past lives being one of those helpers and guides, right? And the theory of it all, especially with star seeds, is that now they're back on this planet, helping it get to the next stage of awakening, right? So, when it comes to the whole Atlantean energy, right? How am I'm going to be tuning into this, right? I'm going to, first of all, tune into the energy of that, but I'm also going to tune into like, having had a past life, or perhaps what is the dimensional reality of why we're here helping, okay? And then we're going to tune into Justin in particular and see what comes through, okay? So like I said, I've never had a question like this before, but let's have some fun with this, you guys, okay? And his question is, what information do I need to remember from Atlantis? Okay. All right, so we're gonna read Justin first of all. So 1 second, everyone reset, reground yourself, fill in with a new gold sun. And breathe. Everyone take like 3 to 5 deep breaths before we get into this here. I'm doing the same right now. Okay. So Justin Gagne, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's last name Gagne. Okay, Justin, or you could just tune into Justin's first name is fine too. So Justin, when I look at your energy, when I tune into your energy, I'm getting like a metallic energy for you for some reason. It's like a metallic gray mixed in with a little bit of cobalt blue, I guess. So whatever shade of color that is. And Justin, I'm getting some energy of I don't know if you're like a private person or something, but like you might be someone who doesn't just let anyone in or something like that. And the more I give a hello to your energy, I'm now starting to see some nice bright turquoise light blue start to pop forward now. Interesting. And as I'm watching this light blue, this turquoise light blue, I'm getting some message like, oh, I'm tired of this old life, whatever that might mean for you. But it's interesting because it's like a light blue, this light turquoise blue. And 1 second, I'm just letting the picture unfold a little bit more here for you. Yeah, above your crown chakra, I see kind of like this opening, I don't know, doorway slash portal, shaped like a square. Looks like a light, like in this, like a light. It's made of light. This portal. Interesting. And it's almost like you want to, it's like like the whole "beam me up, Scotty" kind of thing. It's like you'd prefer to be there rather than here. And yet, like I said, with the light blue, it's almost as if you're saying, I've learned all I need to learn. And when I give a deeper hello to you as a soul, I'm going to get to your question now. What information do I need to remember from Atlantis? All right, so I'm just going to tune into that whole question here. I'm getting some energy of like being an alchemist, and that might be too simplistic of a word. But I'm getting something like in a past life, you were definitely someone who could work with energy, almost like you could bend space and time. And I know that sounds dramatic, but maybe on this planet that's not normal, but who knows on some other dimensional reality, like that's normal. Like you could bend space and time in whatever this dimensional reality um, that you have a past life on. And so it just looks like part of your remembering is like remembering who you are, your power, where you've been as a soul. And then it also looks like for you to remember like why you chose to be here now, and to remember part of the mission of helping spread light, helping people awaken. And it just looks like wherever you're at now, it kind of reminds me of like when a chick is hatching out of its egg, right? And at first, when the egg cracks and you're exposed to the light, like it could be disconcerting. But after a while, you grow, you get used to it, and you remember your purpose. So just looks like for you to just remember to allow things to continue to unfold. And as time passes, things will unfold and make more and more sense for you as time goes. But really, what I'm getting for you to remember, going back to your question, is just to remember who you are, your power, and just something about helping, like on a trying to find the word. I see the picture, but I don't have the word. Um, it's like when many things are connected and they all work together, and then you're part of the one piece of it all that when together, like they all work together to create even greater change. That's the best way I could describe it. Just remembering that you're one of a larger piece of a whole. Okay. All right. Anyway, Justin, I hope that was helpful. Interesting questions. I've never had the question, so like, that caught my eye. All right, so I invite everyone to just type in what you got. Okay, and Justin says, you are correct. I was a high priest from Atlantis and alchemist. I know that. Okay, awesome. And Justin says, thank you so, so much. Yeah, you're welcome, Justin, right? And again, I like some of these more challenging questions that I've never read before because it forces you to like really let go, right? And you guys, it's not like I've ever studied Atlantean theory before, right? It's only what I've heard from other fellow psychics who talked about it one time, right? So I literally had to just go with the first thing that came to me. What was the color? What was the message? What was coming through? And some of the pictures that I was seeing, like I didn't have words for it. So I tried my best to describe that energy, at least with an analogy or something. Like I said, I like using analogies. Um, but yeah, so Justin, thank you for the feedback. You're very welcome. Okay. All right, so I encourage you to type in what you got. Okay. And Elaine, thank you. It's confirming to feel like I'm getting it. Yeah. And the whole notion of what it means to get it, right? It's getting it without effort, without trying, without like literally just sitting back, relaxing, observing. And I'm telling you guys, the sitting back, relaxing, observing, sometimes that's the hardest part, right? But then that's where the healing work comes in. That's where the releasing, letting go. Okay. And Justin says, and I do want to go home, LOL, to my Pleiadian home. Yeah. Let me just talk a little bit about star seeds. I'm put it this way. There was a time when I had an office in San Diego, and like people would move to San Diego from all over the country, right? And about once a month, right, I'd get people who would come in for a reading and they'd be telling the exact same story. I feel like I don't belong here. I don't feel like I'm in the right body. I look up at the stars and I was long for home. I feel like I belong out there. I don't belong here. And it was amazing because they were all telling the same story. Different person. They were from all places in the country. And it's the same thing, you guys, when different people are telling the same story they've never met before, and they're all telling the same story. It's not like they're trying to make it up, right? These were sane people. There's some were like nurses, some were like, other various coaches, and like these people, like they're not crazy. Okay. So when people come around and they're saying stuff like, oh, I'm a star seed, And they're literally like looking you straight in the eye and saying, hey, this is how I feel. Right. Then there has to be something to that. Okay. All right. And so like here, people are talking about it in Facebook now. I just feel LOL, I want to go back home too. I feel like I'm an Arcturian princess who came to Earth to learn how to be a queen. Okay. And a lot of star seeds who come to this planet, um, you're on a mission, right? Because you've had your awakening in some other dimensional reality, and now you're helping Earth to awaken as well. So that's the whole thing about the 5D awakening, right? All of that stuff, that's all associated. Okay. All right. So I just looking at some of the comments coming in. Okay, you guys are awesome, right? You're just allowing yourself to to be open to what you're observing. And what's funny, you guys, is I haven't even taught like I said, it's like tip of the iceberg stuff that I've taught you so far. And look at what's coming through. So were you to join, which I encourage all of you now, right? Join this 8-week training that I have coming up. I have a really special offer for you tomorrow. So you definitely want to tune in for that. And I'm happy to share with you even more knowledge, okay? Because when we get into that 8-week training, you're going to learn stuff like how to read a past life, how to read your chakras, your aura, all of that kind of stuff, right? You just got introduced to at least like what it is to see with your third eye, like the tip of the iceberg, guys. Okay, well, I know I've ran really long, but sometimes I just can't control how long readings go. But it's so cool that many of you have stuck around and still hanging out. Kelly said, my scenery was so bizarre, almost dead on. I kept waiting for you, Joe, to say the next thing. And I was like, whoa. Tomorrow, yeah, Miranda, I'm going to be talking about the program and as well just kind of do a big recap of everything we just learned, okay? Let's see. Nikki said, it's okay. I lost track of time too. Yeah, that's what happens. Like for a moment, I even forgot you guys were watching me. That's how in present time I get sometimes with these readings. It's like, okay, I'm just going with what's here, what's now. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, I don't want to extend this for too much longer, other than to say thanks for hanging out again. All right. And it's really exciting for those of you who have made it all through the 4 days. Just 4 days, you guys. Imagine what else is in store, okay, if you were to continue down this path, which I encourage each of you to do. So tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to introduce to you more details of the Third Eye Momentum program so you can build more momentum into developing your gifts. And as well, I'd love to present you with a special offer, okay? So you definitely don't want to miss that. And as well, remember, we're stick to the end of tomorrow. That's where I, just see who showed up for all 5 days, and you'll be entered for that drawing for either a 90-minute deep chakra healing, that's the grand prize, or, one of 5 chances to win a 30-minute psychic reading with me. Okay. So you definitely don't want to miss that. And I have another special surprise for you, which I'll announce tomorrow. But I'm not going to share that with you now. You got to tune in tomorrow to check that out. All right. So that's all I have for tonight. Great job, everyone. Thanks for being open. And give yourself a mini psychic pat on the back. Okay. All right, you guys. I will see you all tomorrow. All right. Many blessings to you. All right. Bye for now.